So when it hit my back, my vertebrae exploded in my body into dust. That's the impact. So exploded.
Like, it's hard to even imagine the physicality.
So if I show you the picture, you will see a hole where my vertebrae was. It's really, it's like you look at it. And then the second one was all of the other injuries, which, again, it was actually of all things, it was the ribs that should have suffocated me to death. And then I went through 15 hours of surgery. I was on like a rotisserie chicken. They did.
Oh no, I can picture that exactly.
Yeah. They did my
front and back.
Front and back. And 15 hours later, and,
you came out alive.
I came out alive, and they removed, I gotta tell you a funny story, but it was an interesting story. It's for anybody who has ever been in a coma, and you're thinking about loved ones. I heard some of the conversations, and you're lucid, but you think you're dreaming. And while I was in and out of the coma, but you're still in a coma, I couldn't physically open my eyes, but I heard my wife, and I said, I must have she said I made a motion with my hand like this, using my hand. And she's like, what are you trying to say? Oh, you want a pen and paper? So she gets it.
Crazy.
And I wrote 2 letters, and I wrote C, and it wasn't very good because I couldn't see. But it was a C and an R. And she's going, C-R. Like, what is that? She's trying to, Camus, Rome, that's my kids. Yes, no, they're not here, but they're good. And I went back.
While you were in a coma.
And I went back into the coma. My wife kept the notepad, so I have it at home. So that was the coma aspect. I get out, the intubation is removed. The only distressing, the continuing distressing thing is when I woke up, you couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't even see my legs. And I actually thought that they cut my legs off. And then the nurse comes in and he goes, no, silly, your legs are still there. I went, oh, okay. And she goes, but I'm afraid you'll never ever move your legs again. Today, this year, I've cycled 3,200K pedaling. Wow. I pedal now back up to 25, 26 kilometers an hour. Insane. I walk every day on a treadmill. So when the same nurse, she didn't mean anything by it, by telling me that I'll never walk again. But 9 months later, I went back to Sunnybrook and I brought my walker and I walked down, and they were all waiting there. The entire ICU was there, and they're all kind of crying, and they all thought I was going to die. And I just say, folks, I just got to tell you one thing. Never tell anybody that they're not going to walk again. Yeah. Because when you take away hope, that's the issue, right? Yeah.
Well, and our mindsets are so powerful.
Right.
To what our bodies can do.
Yeah. And I just said, look, I just happen to be a stubborn guy. And I got to tell you, what happened is when she said that to us, and again, she was lovely. I loved this nurse. But when she left the room, immediately, my wife and I started crying. We both said, fuck you. Yeah. Like, don't you ever fucking say that to me again. And that was my reaction. Honestly, behind my mind, I'm like, I'm fucked. But I didn't share that with my wife, but that's what I'm kind of thinking. But I then walked down and said to them, just don't do that. Because you don't know. It's complex. And so,
I heard they're all like super, super unique. Like there's no two injuries that are similar.
Well, and you invested so much time. You were 20 hours a week.
Still am
to this day.
To this day, 5 years later, I do 20 hours a week on average of physio.
A physio and rehab.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
That's why, I do walk. I don't walk independently, but, I could stand and do all those sorts of things. But through my cycling team as well, we've raised a massive amount of money. So it's going to be over 2 years, $25 million.
Wow.
That's going to research for brain and spinal cord injury. We're going to make Toronto the center of the world of this research. And there is a drug company that's actually based in Canada where we bought the intellectual property from the Americans and moved it to Canada.
Very smart move.
Yes. And it is the most advanced drug in the world. It's called Nervgen. I'm on the board. I can't say too much.
Okay.
We've just completed our phase 2 clinical. I will be doing this, and this could potentially take me out of the chair and then walk independently. And if that happens, it will save the millions of people that are not only suffering from spinal cord injury, but multiple sclerosis, perhaps Parkinson's, ALS, all of this stuff. This drug could be a wonder drug. We're still in the middle of the human trials. But in some bizarre way, it feels like I was destined to be on my bike to get hit because I was stubborn enough to be the person who's going to go and invest money and get other people to invest to take people out of their misery, because it is otherwise it can be a hopeless situation. It's not.
Yeah.
It's difficult for sure, but the great thing is, I will tell you with complete 100% assurance, technology is going to solve this. Question is, I don't know when it will. I thought it wasn't going to be in my lifetime. It will likely be in my lifetime, and the dates continue. The timeline continues to get compressed. So I am aware of almost every major technology innovation in the world. I'm on the Rick Hansen Foundation as well. Rick's a close buddy of mine. Rick called me every week in a hospital. He was going to send me a note, and Rick sees everything. I see everything. And now, we've all teamed up, and now hopefully we could, help, the rest of the people.
When you think about like Bay Street and venture capital and investors and private equity, like you do not see people, or you don't openly see people speak about chronic illness or like be in wheelchairs or anything like that. So to see it is like, it's incredible.
There's the opportunity to be a loud spokesperson for people that are not seen and heard, really, right? So where are they all? They're alone, or they're in institutions, or they're in apartments.
Or they've taken that dark door.
Yeah, but it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
And so when I say to folks, you want to really get in a wheelchair for a day and go around the city and you see what things are like.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine because I've done well financially and I'm still running my fund.
Yeah.
So I could afford all of most cannot. So I've been blessed. So I feel an obligation to bring all of the other folks who don't have the same benefit, and they should be afforded the same opportunities. So that's why I'm really defending accessibility, because now, and that's why I say I feel like in a way it was destined, because these poor folks, like, it's gut-wrenching to see with these great minds, and they could add so much economic value. They feel shunned because they can't physically get around that easily.
I'm so curious, what were the few weeks and months immediately after, when you guys are back together as a family and the new home? What was that like?
I was supposed to leave hospital, and at the end of whatever the time that they had set, and it would have been about January the 15th. And I thought, I'm not going to be in hospital over Christmas. Is bullshit. And so I checked myself out at the objection of the doctors, and I said, I'm going home to spend Christmas with my family. So I checked out on December the 23rd.
Wow.
And I remember on December the 23rd, I'm sitting at the table with the family again. And I say to my kids, look, Mom and Dad have to tell you something. Dad was expected to die, and he could have died, and we want to let you know. And the kids went, no, he wasn't going to die. And it was like, well, what do you say? That goes, we've seen Dad in so many accidents all the time. He does all this crazy stuff. He goes, he keeps on bouncing up. So we thought he was going to be fine. Yeah. And it was like, hey, can you pass the potatoes here? And we're like, that
so
was
nonchalant.
It was so nonchalant.
Yeah.
And you know what I learned? It didn't matter that Dad was in a wheelchair. Dad was here. And that's part of the learning lesson of saying, oh, well, you know, they thought that was the most important thing. And then from a mindset perspective, you then think about not what you can't do, because that will get you depressed. And the odd occasion when I think about that, I can feel myself go, oh, John, don't do that. Think about what you can do. So what can I do? I can help my kids with their homework. I can help them with their jobs and with their problems.
Getting them to USC.
Yeah. So do I go and play football or tennis with my kids? No, I don't. You know, do I go and run a marathon? Well, you know what? I wasn't going to run one anyway, so I don't give a shit. But
things that matter in life.
I can cycle, right? And I have now exceeded what the amount of kilometers that I did the year before, the full year before COVID. So I walk, I cycle, I run my fund, I take care of my kids. Do I goof around a lot and head to the coffee shops? No. So what's actually happened is my productivity has gone through the roof because I only focus in on the things I could really, really do. And the things that I don't, you start to realize, well, you know what? Wasn't really that important anyway. And to be honest, I kind of said, man, did I waste a lot of time on a lot of things. So I don't sleep very much. And I just keep on cranking. And I would say the only thing, and my friends look at what happened to me and it's changed their lives from the perspective of it could be taken away from you in a snap of the finger. So enjoy everything. Enjoy now. Act like it could happen tomorrow. And so the only thing that I would say to you is I don't waste any time. And I really mean that, like no time, because I'm always worried that I'm against the clock. So maybe that's not great from a stress perspective, perhaps, but I feel that. And so I fill it in with everything that's productive. So I do a lot of writing. I help a lot with government and public policy. I do all these things.
You say yes to stuff like this.
I say things like this because I don't have a whole bunch of other things that, you know, would replace it. And it's okay. So that's why I say to folks, you know, the two doors are right next to each other. Just keep on walking into the right door, and you never know that help might be on the way. And I think it is.
Some people, like, especially with like childhood trauma, like you see two options. Like they either go down a very terrible path and they end up with addiction or other things. And then others take that and run with it and become a CEO.
But see, this is why I honestly believe there's those two doors, they touch each other. The same, I could have easily gone into the wrong door.
It's actually a revolving door.
But it's easy. Like, and I don't regret, I always thought before, like, I don't have a depressive bone in my body. Never had. Now, there could be chemical imbalances why people might, if you have if you're predisposed to depression, I could see that. So there's a physicality there, but let's assume not. I have zero on that, zero feeling. But when it happened, let me tell you, the first thoughts go into your mind about that. Now, I didn't dwell on it, but it was like, John, whoa, dude, what's going on? Like, but I could have slid in that. So that's why I just say, like, I actually had to, like, you consciously make a decision. Oh my God, that's the wrong door, and go this door, and don't think about that door. And, you have some bad days. I've had some bad days, right? But they've been days.
Yeah.
A day.
I also think really quickly, your life again was about more than the accident, just in like building Mavericks, which is, I think, another, like, people need to find their passion and their purpose around and not just get lost in the accident.
This is what I think. I started the fundraising the week after out of hospital.
Yeah.
I fundraised on my back in hospital. I called them from my bed.
Like LPs?
And people didn't believe you that
they said,
like, you sound the exact same.
What? Are you, where are you? I go, I'm in hospital. Are you in your bed? I go, yeah. I I am bored out of my mind. I just want to follow up.
Bored.
John,
watch a movie.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to fund you. Don't worry. Just get out of hospital. Okay. I just was double checking. So you're right. And the purpose was Canada, right? Now, so for me, the purpose is Canada and my family.
Well, shall we move to some closing rapid fire questions?
Question 1. What is a undervalued piece of investing advice?
What's undervalued? Again, this is from directly on Mavericks, is, the entry point really matters. And it's kind of funny. The number one mistake that people make, and say they're even buying and selling securities, people tend to, buy high and sell low all the time because they're following the crowd. And the worst reason to be investing in something is because the price is going up. So it's really understanding, the value of something and not being dissuaded by the fear of missing out. And you're seeing it happening live, say, with artificial intelligence. People are losing their collective minds and sense of reality. And you ask, where did I get that from? Well, the .com days made me learn the hard way. And then you go through these sorts of cycles. So I would just say, be careful at your entry point. And when you're coming in, sometimes it doesn't matter, but for the vast majority of investments you make, it does really matter.
If we were to talk to you again in 10 years, what do you think the next chapter of your life is shaped by?
I think in 10 years, it will be shaped solely by my philanthropic activities.
Okay.
So I do that a lot now, but I would like to spend the rest of my next career really just on philanthropic.
Okay. Incredible. What is, if you were to meet your younger self, what's one thing you would tell them to stop doing sooner?
This one's easy. Remember I mentioned to you, I really had the chip on my shoulder? That chip kind of stopped when I was about 28, where I was not necessarily the person, I wasn't the person who I was there because I was so insecure and trying to clobber everything. And by about 28, and I remember the time period, I realized, you know what? Like, I'm going to be successful no matter what I do on here. So take a little bit of a chill pill here and stop always gunning it, and just, you can maintain your same energy levels, but stop being defensive with the chip over the shoulder. So I still have that chip. The chip is just a little bit smaller, but I wish I would manage that a little bit more and bottle up that energy to direct it. And I think
that's the right thing.
Yeah. And I think I was a little too intense and focused about my ultimate personal success because, again, it was coming out of that insecurity.
Final question. What would your future self tell you to do more of today?
Well, it would tell me to slow down, and I will tell my future self to go to hell and shove it, because I will operate all the time, running out of time. I will never retire. That doesn't mean I'm a workaholic. Purpose is what drives. I will never, ever stop. But I know some folks will say, John, it's okay, enjoy. And I say, I am enjoying. And all along the way. I traveled the world hundreds of times over. I've enjoyed that all along the way, and I will continue doing the same thing. So in short, I would tell my future self, mind your own goddamn business.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today and for having a conversation between two brunettes.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Between Two Brunettes.
If you enjoy the show, please hit follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.
We'd love to hear your feedback and do our best to get back to everyone. So feel free to leave your comments or reach out to us on any of our socials.
See you next time.